Hello everyone, welcome back for the third video tutorial. In this tutorial, we will look at how to create the data modeling for our applications. So before we start looking at this, allow me to show you the displays of relationship between the data that we should have here. Now in this case, because we are going to create the application that support the cart item, when users select any products, is going to specify the product's ID, the product quantity, and the product price. Now this information will be kept as each cart item for each particular product. We also have the product's information in another table. So you can see that primary key is product ID. We also keep the product names, product QTYs, product price, and credit date for this product. And those data structure is also laid down in this entity diagram. Now, another important thing is that we're going to have navigational property relationship between one to many. So imagine that each time you buy something from the shop, imagine that it has a cart for you. Inside a cart, it can contain any cart item. The cart item is nothing but to tell you that, okay, we are looking at what products with how many quantities and what about the price of that products. So imagine that you select 2 products, and each product you have 10 for the first products and 20 for the second products. So in this case, those 2 will be considered as cart item that will be inside the cart object itself. The cart object will have the cart ID, created date, and the list of class item. Okay, now that's the entity relationship between the cart that contains cart items, and inside the cart item it describes the product's information including ID, QTYs, and price. Now in order to support these informations, we're gonna need to first looking at how to create the model.product.cs. So let's go ahead and go to your project structure here. Inside your data models, the first step, we create the product's structure. So in this case, in my product structure comparing to this, you can see that we want to have the product ID as the primary keys, and it's going to be auto incremented. We will have product names, product QTY, product price, and credit date. So those will be used to support the product's information. Okay, so we also need to create another data model, the model that we use so that we can show these informations. Okay, I'm going to show you comparing this to the output over here. So now if we go to the product controller, okay, so you can see that the output of this display has 4 different information, including product name, QTY, price, and credit date. So in order to support any views in web application, it is better for us to also create the data structure, the model that support this display. So we have product ID, product names, product code, and credit date. Okay, so that is going to be for product view. Now the next step is step number 8. We are going to create the cart item. So the cart item is used to hold each individual selection of your products. It's going to have cart item ID, products ID, product QTYs, and product price. And also, because we're going to have the link between the cart and the cart item, is the good idea to also put delivered NP. So we will put cart ID so that we have the reference to this. Okay, so each cart item can be referenced back to what is the ID for this cart. Okay, now you also have to go for the next step to create another data model called cart.cs. So inside this model is going to be the cart ID for the primary key. We also have the credit date here, and most important is the navigational properties. Okay, so we're gonna have a list that hold objects of this type, and you can see that in database design structure you can view that this is going to be the link from one to many relationship. So this object will hold one to many relationships, and you can see that the foreign key of this, okay, is going to be the card item IDs. Okay, all right. Now that is for the card data model. Another data model that we need is for the card view itself here. So if we go back to our program one more time, so if you go to the card view, you can see that the table below show three different information, including the card ID, the date, and the total summation of the card. Now, if we look at this carefully, when we look at the card alone, it's going to hold card ID, credit date, which is those two right here. But in the original card model, it doesn't have the total. So in this case, if you would like to not to use this card as the data view, but you want another data structure, so in this case, that is the good idea to create the card view. So the card view will hold card ID, date, and total. So in this case, the card view here, you have ID, date, and the total. Okay, so for this video, I have shown you all the data modelings that are needed for bootstrapping our applications. Okay, so in the next video tutorial, we will look at how do we actually one more thing, we should look at database modeling as well. So now we already have data model, but in order to support data connection between the database and data model itself, so that is why you have to create a new folder called data. Inside this one, we create the new data DB context here. I name it as MISDB context. Okay, so in this step, you also need to make sure that you have the constructor that take DB context options for this type. Okay, and you register this to the parent constructor of this class. Now, when you look at this carefully, you can see that now, comparing to data model here, we have a representation of product table, the card table, and the card item as well. Now, after data migration has been done, then you can examine the structure of this to see if this is similar to what we have here. So if you look at my database here, I created it as the test. The name of the database is test, and we also have three different tables. Okay, so we have first the products information here that hold the structure similar to what we have here. So if you compare to this, we have the entity. Okay, so that is the one. We also need to look at the card item here. The card item will have exact same structure as this. Okay, but one more thing is in the entity diagram, we also cannot see the direct relationship between this, but in data table you can see that it's also show that we have relationship of card item IDs and a card ID as well. Okay, if you don't know about this, don't worry about it. I will explain it in the near future. Okay, also for the card table here, okay, we have two of this. All right, now once we are certain that are going to be is going to resemble the structure of data model, then here that is the representation of what we could do in order to make queries or perform database operations on behalf of the actual database. Okay, so that data DB context is usually used to consist of the abstraction or representation of physical data table. Okay, so in this case, we have 3 representation. So in the next video tutorial, we will start creating the controller so that we can CRUD our product's information. Thank you for watching.